This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
So this is for anybody who's looking for a job, or if you just want to up your game professionally. If you're not doing this, you are missing out. I always thought that was true. And when I met this gentleman, our next guest, he confirmed it with lots of like science, algorithms, and detail. I'm talking about harnessing the power of LinkedIn. That's what he does. He's an expert at that. He coaches people, works on their profiles, and so much more. We're going to learn a lot today from Don Wittman, who is back with us on the program. How you doing?
Great. You know, a nice, beautiful day in the Northeast. You can't complain.
Feeling the same thing here. It was a cold, rainy weekend. Was it, at least here in New York, was it like that by you?
Yes, it rained like hell.
Yeah, exactly. And it was cold.
So yes, it's always a challenge with the weather changing, but it's about to, move on to being nice. So I'm looking forward to it, and looking forward to planning a few getaways. But,
so, and you might just find somebody to help you with that on LinkedIn. Just saying. You're going to share with us some, it sounds like some tips, some tricks, some insight, specifically about the way people digest, read content on LinkedIn. Is that where we're going with this today?
Yeah, we're basically the several steps to be sort of found on LinkedIn, right? And the first step is actually show up in search, which we talked about keywords before. The next is going to your profile page and getting past your business card, or that it's sometimes called, or the main headline of your LinkedIn profile.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the easy things to get past. The problem that most recruiters have is getting through your about field, right? Because they don't read your about field. Okay. Most recruiters scan it. So when you scan text, there's a science that explains how people scan things. So, so the idea is that through history, people changed how they read and scan and how much time they spend and everything else. So recruiters are time limited, right? So they want to be able to know within 10 or 15 seconds whether you're worthwhile looking at or move on. So the problem is, once they get past the headline, they read it, says, okay, this is reasonably interesting. Let's see what's in the about field. So the about field is much longer. It's one of the longest fields in LinkedIn. And that's why recruiters scan it. But what people don't understand is how your eyes and your brain deal with scanning. If you, almost everyone has seen the TV with the color bars. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, if you take five bars across your about field, 5 vertical bars, basically they're shades of gray moving from left to right. The left bar is very clear, and your mind picks up things more readily in the left bar. As you move to the next bar to the right, it picks up less. And the one over on the right-hand side picks up next to nothing when you're scanning. So the idea of this is to put the things that a recruiter would want to see on the very left-hand side, so his scan picks it up. And then he'll stop scanning. He'll start reading.
So I want just for clarity here, just to make sure, when we say scanning, Are we saying literally their eye is scanning, or are they using some type of scanner software app, something like that?
No, no, this is how your eyes and your brain works.
Gotcha. So, okay. That being said, we're going left to right. Most people read that way anyway.
No, no, no. Scanning is top down. It's not
Ah,
left to right.
so top down, but then how, like you were talking about the color bars, you did say on the left is where it's at. So scanning from the top down, but the left column.
Yes.
Ooh.
They don't even see the right column when they scan your profile, your about field.
Wow.
And so the idea here is you want to put information that you want the recruiter to see, right? Like statistics. And we'll go a little more what that
Mm.
is. But if you want to put statistics in there, because recruiters, particularly in your about field, really like statistics. So let's sort of lay out I mean, lay out how most people who are successful with the leader profiles lay it out, right? The first thing you do is your elevator speech. I think everybody's heard of your elevator speech. Is your basically your 30 seconds to
Yep.
say what you do and hook them, right? But after that, it's basically gobbledygook when you're scanning. So, you know, 20 VC guys and 20 other types of recruiters I've had discussions with says, what do you want? What do you want to see? Right? What'll make a recruiter interested? What would make you interested in this person in their about field to keep reading? Because the goal is to keep reading down, right? You want the recruiter or the person searching for you to read down your profile and to get hooked. Because if you get them hooked on your about field, they usually will start reading your experiences. So the first one we just told is the elevator speech. The next three are mostly recommended to be like what's called star formatted paragraphs. Okay, basically, the recruiters want to know what you were successful at. Okay, which is you had a problem, you solved the problem. What was the result? And you make it kind of dense, right? But you want sort of I leave spaces in between those three things. And then the last field is your contact field. And basically you go in there and you invite them to contact you, right? And you put your information as much to the left. So the goal of what we've done is to put information to the left. All your statistics that you're using in your successes should be in the left. No paragraph in your about field should it be any longer than 5 lines. Reason it's 5 lines is it gives your mind a break and also breaks it up for when you're on a smartphone. Because 60% of smartphones, 60% of users on LinkedIn use smartphones or smart devices.
Yep.
If you put a full about field of a couple thousand characters, it looks like this giant blob. And just people just don't want to read it. The next thing you do to get interest, which is another science of reading thing, is to put titles on your star formatted successes. No more than 5 words, so it's shortened to the left. Okay. So if you've read a book, what happens when you read a title?
Are you talking about titles of chapters or the title of the book?
Or subtitles within a chapter.
Okay.
Basically, you spend time on that title. Your mind has been trained to slow down when you see that like block formatted all caps title, right?
Yep.
Right. So again, that's another trick to get the recruiter to slow down and start reading instead of scanning.
So let's look at that in that section. and we're going to put a title to what is about to follow. Would you now statistics? I think they're fantastic. It can be factual. It stands out. How would you set that up? Would you use a few words? Increased revenue dash. I'm going hypothetical here. 72% uptick and blah 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 blah. Would you set it up that way with there's a title and then information following it?
So the star formatted success basically says there's a problem. All right.
Problem solution.
No, it starts with a problem. You have to define what the problem was, and you can use numbers in there, but the numbers are really important in how you solve the problem. Right. So you want that to sort of the left again. And the next is what was the result of you fixing that problem? That's where the real statistics are, because recruiters want to know that you've done, large things successfully, so that they can talk to their client or their internal people. So making sure that the title slows you down. Statistics are on the left when you're scanning, so that they stand out. So essentially, you force the recruiter to read your about field instead of scanning it.
Interesting. So I've always been a proponent of pushing positivity. And that would look like, for example, 72% increase in revenue dash details, whatever they may be. Are you suggesting we're going to start? I don't mean this in a bad way, but the problem is kind of negative. The problem and then the solution next to it. Is that where we're going?
Yes, it's exactly what it is. You're basically going to do 3 star formatted successes. Each you don't have to necessarily exactly follow the star format, but people can research it and understand what that is. You can put it tighter together in 2 little paragraphs instead of 3 little paragraphs. But the idea here is people typically state, I did this, 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 right?
Yep.
Short little sentence, short little bullets.
Yep.
Well, you haven't proved what you did. I don't know how you made those successes.
Sure.
So now you're giving the recruiter a story. And it is always more successful to fold the story around your successes. And it's much more believable. Recruiters have a bad habit saying, all these things that you've done, these one-liners that have bullets on it and things like that, everybody puts them on there. So if you're in marketing, I can almost guarantee you 80% of the marketing people have the exact same bullets. No justification.
Yeah. No, I see it. But you got to back it up. Give us an example. Would that be possible? Make it up. What it would, in the about section, or how it would read left to right. How it would appear.
So basically, you put a title in there, increase sales by 50% or $50 million. That'd be your title. Next, the first one is, what was the problem? Well, sales were not growing for a year and a half, and I was, brought in to fix it. Okay, so what'd you do? Well, I retasked the sales team to do A, B, C, and D, right? And was successful increasing sales. What was the result? I increased sales by this amount of money over this period of time, and I got promoted. Right. So you have the 3 things, and that's what a lot of recruiters want to hear. They want to hear your successes, not just all these little bullets with nothing wrapped around them.
Thank you for sharing that, because now it's a better view. Because I was thinking that the headline is the negative, but it's not. The headline is increased sales by $50 million, and then dash or whatever it is, the next copy would follow. Maybe it would be something like identified a slump in sales for 2 years. And when I started with the company, we increased it by 48% or whatever it is, just more backing it up. But we're starting with a positive, a highlight, and then we're going to the problem. So, yeah. Okay, very clear. Does every word count here?
The idea is if you make it too long, again, you start losing interest, and they'll start scanning it. So the idea is you're going to make the title of each of the star formatted successes short. The problem, you need to make sure you state it clearly, because but you still want it. You don't want to put 100 200 words into doing what the problem was, right? The recruiter is more interested in your solution and the results of that solution than the problem. So the problem you want to state, pretty, like a one-liner, right? And then you go into what was the solution, and typically what was the result, and the result is usually has promotion, more money, got things like that in there, and those are what that's what the recruiter wants to see, that you've been able to grow things and succeed at what you're doing, right? Success, people that are successful typically remain successful through their career, right? So you're giving them an example and putting it through. So, so you're doing like 4 or 5 different things overlaid in your about field to get the recruiter through it, because again is the scanning, right? And key stats, make it readable, right? They has to be readable, or else they're going to start scanning again. So those 5 the 3-star bullet point, not bullet points, but statements need to be, quick, unique, to the point, and to keep them going. So that is what sort of gets their interest. And then they will go down, the last part of the about field is to give an invitation to discuss successes or a particular thing that you were really good at, and you invite the recruiter to do that and call you, and you give your contacts and things like that, whether it be your phone number, your email. Usually recruiters are more interested in the phone number, because recruiters like instant gratification. Right? They want to talk to the person instead of putting it off and having to deal with an email.
Well, recruiters here, and if it's okay, I want to get to an email in a sec. When we say recruiters, does it also apply to somebody that may be looking to hire you for a job? And I mean not a full job, but let's say hire you to take care of provide a service for them. Would it be the same thing? Would they be looking, basically, their eyes are just like a recruiter's eyes? Is it kind of the same stuff?
It's a slightly different style of a LinkedIn profile. If you're a contractor who's a subject matter expert, or something that's called a SME, you actually focus everything more.
Okay, gotcha.
And it's the same stuff, but you typically focus a contractor to do that. That's what my next book is about.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Got a question from Daniel from Austin, and you can always reach us instant feedback, steve@gmail.com. He says, if I only have about 15 minutes a day, how should I be using LinkedIn effectively?
Well, number one is, if you're job seeking, you want to at least change something in your profile once a week.
Well, that's interesting.
Yes, there is a little switch that recruiters can search. It says, "Well, when was the last time your profile was updated?"
That's a big one, Don. That's a big one right there, I
So yeah,
think.
when, no, my son, a company shut down, and my son was terminated, right, with short notice. And basically, I kept telling him, okay, every week, Daddy, go in and just change one word. Don't change the whole thing. The algorithm, basically, you can change one word this way one week, turn it back the next week, and just keep doing it just to have that flag on.
Wow.
And that keeps
That's the $50 tip today, right there. I'm telling you. Wow.
so the idea here, and recruiters do that, right? Because when recruiters searching for a new position, they don't want the old people that they've seen. They want to only see new people. Because if they
Oof.
did their job and it's hard to recruit for this person, they want new data, not old data. So, there is a method to the madness of using.
100%. And let's face it, if somebody hasn't updated their profile, guilty as charged, you're not going to be as interested if you're looking for somebody to hire them because they may have um, already gotten the job. Yeah, they're not. It doesn't appear to the recruiter that they're actively searching for something at that time. That's very interesting.
Well, that's the purpose too, as part of the invitation in the contact field and the bottom of the about fields is you invite them to have a discussion,
Yeah.
which basically is another signal that says that you're willing to be contacted. So there's a lot of little nuances.
Real quick, literally a minute, but this is an interesting question. Sophia is from Oakland, California. She says, I'm going to paraphrase this, but she says, I've been spending more time on my profile and providing content on LinkedIn. I find it fascinating. And her question is, where do you see LinkedIn going in the next few years? And is there something we should prepare for?
LinkedIn is probably going to start providing services to automate the building of your LinkedIn profile,
Like AI in a way.
like AI. The problem that LinkedIn has not solved today is with their tools and stuff like that. Has not helped you with the search criteria. In other words, we talked about keywords in an earlier show, and those points they have not done very well doing that. I'm actually getting ready to do a talk on LinkedIn and AI on the tools that are out there to automate the building of LinkedIn profiles. Most of them fail miserably at trying to keep the keywords consistent.
Mm.
I mean, basically, there's different forms of the same word that you assume LinkedIn track as the same word, whether it be a plural form, whether it be um, various forms of the same word. Um, so there is a problem with them recognizing because LinkedIn recognizes words at, as the absolute spelling of what you present. If you put a different form in there, they don't associate that to give you keywords. So if you use statistics, right? There's a lot of different forms of saying statistics. And if you don't use the same form over and over again, or be searched for that form in the exact same spelling, they won't find you and you won't get points. The
Mm.
problem is the AI tries to do appropriate grammar and make it simple, but it normally messes it up. So you have it in 4 or 5 different forms in your profile and it's broken. You won't search for it.
Wow. So would you say, well, let me ask the question, and then we're out of time, but yes or no, should you use AI to help you write your profile?
I'm actually writing a script to automate the main headline, an AI script, to take those keywords and turn them into a sentence so it doesn't look so manipulated.
So there's a place for it, but you need to intentionally guide the AI to get the job done. You can't just have AI just spit it out and be done.
For dealing with search engine, for dealing with putting things into search engines, AI doesn't work so well at this point. AI is good at reading stuff from search engines.
Gotcha.
Right? So AI needs to progress a little further to do the other, which I assume it will. I mean, it just takes more time and it requires more context. But I mean, there's been, people don't realize AI has been around for a very long time. I mean, AI for computers was basically 30 years back, was basically a flowchart. And that's basically what you're doing today. You're talking it to do what a program for computer programming is. Basically, you're talking into it as a flowchart. And that had worked. The problem is way back when the computers weren't fast enough to be able to do it.
Gotcha. And again, you have a technical background. So that's where we go with this. We just opened the door to that a little bit, I do believe. Don, how do we find you? If somebody's looking to really harness the power of LinkedIn, need some help with their profile, understand the algorithms and all of that, or have you do it for them, how do they find you?
Yeah, they can give me a call. My home office is, 203-917-4258. And I encourage people, if they just want to chat, for a few minutes about what's going on with their profile, that works. Or send me an email at donaldjwittman.com. And, Wittman again is spelled the Austrian way, which is Wittman. And, glad to chat. I usually take a week to respond to stuff, but normally I will respond to most emails and phone calls pretty readily.
Thank you for today, as always. Lots of nuggets of information, of which I've all jotted down. Fascinating, tricking the system to your advantage. Just that one word change there to keep you fresh. That alone is value. I appreciate it. Good stuff today. We'll talk soon. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.